So if you're selling books for under $8.99, then it is an absolute necessity that you watch this video before we get into Q4, because Q4 can be make or break for your entire publishing year, depending on what type of books you publish and what type of strategies that you're using. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at some huge mistakes that people are making when it comes to Q4. We're then going to take a look at some actual Q4 strategies for lower priced books. So there's going to be a difference in approach between doing advertising in Q4 for a $20 product and a $7.99 product. Then we're going to go into my account, take a look at some real examples from some of my books, and we're also going to go into my advertising account to look at the different scenarios that you might find yourself in when it comes to Q4 advertising. So it is a common misconception, in my opinion, that you need to spend a ton of money during Q4 in order to compete and make sales. Now, if you're doing lower price books, then it probably means you're trying to get into super hot niches that have a ton of gifting potential. So for the most part, you can, if it makes sense, make a ton of money organically. So last year from my account here, for example, we can see October was $271 of advertising spend. November was $470 and December was $495. So like I say, mega important that we understand why we keep our advertising spend low for lower priced books. So the reward for this, the return for this lower advertising spend, we had over 15,000 units that were ordered during December alone, which equated to, I think it was $18,000 to $19,000 here. I don't like doing these type of videos, but I think it's very important if you're taking advice from people on the internet that you see what they're doing, why they're doing, and more importantly, what their advertising spend is as well. So let's get right into this and talk about running more advertising campaigns during Q4. So most people are going to tell you that you need to up your advertising spend to make more sales during Q4. Now, I do not 100% agree with this blanket advice, because most people who watch these videos online are pushing advertising to unproven products. So products that aren't getting organic sales, products that don't meet certain metrics that can give you the confidence to run more ads. And like I say, we're going to go into my account, we'll take a look at these metrics and how you can decide in just a second. Like I say, I'm going to show you in just a second how you can do this and determine this as well. So always keep this in mind. Always keep this in mind. Most people watching YouTube content, most of you watching this, you are doing very low priced items, which means the profit margins, they're going to be very, very low. They need to be considered with these lower priced books. When we are running any type of advertising campaign, we have to consider these profit margins are very, very low. So my general feel here is that if it's doing well already before Q4, it will do very well during Q4 as well. And yes, we can give a boost to our book sales with some advertising strategies, but it has to make sense. So let's take a look at that now. And like I say, if it's not going well, this is the main point of the video. If it's not going well already, Q4 ad spend will likely cost you badly. And I've seen people do this last year where they run advertising campaigns to every single product they have in their catalog, and they end up actually losing money over Q4 or not making as much as they could have. So my Q4 strategy has pretty much been the same here. And like I say, we'll take a look at some example scenarios in just a second. But this is what I do. I only work on books that are proven to be performing well already. And this is a big, big deal here, because like I said, people are running advertising campaigns to any type of product and hoping that Q4 will just magically make them a ton of sales. And really, it's not always going to work like that. So we can establish this we need to work out if our books are doing well or not. And we can take a look if they're doing well by looking at the organic sales, the cost per click, the ACoS, and a few other metrics that we're going to get into in just a second. So for perspective here, I'm only going to increase the amount of ads that I'm running for just 4 of my books. So let's go into my account and take a look at some examples now. So here's an advertising scenario. Let's just say that your book is selling well. So what we want to consider here is that, is the ACoS going to leave room for us to increase the daily budget and the cost per click? So the theory here is that if the ACoS is doing well, if the ACoS is low enough, then we can effectively increase the daily budget and the cost per click. So when the cost per click goes up, you're going to go through your daily budget quicker, which means you have to increase that daily budget, which effectively means you're going to be scaling the sales to that book, but safely. So in this case here, as we can see on screen, this is one of my slightly better selling books. Now, the conversions inside the advertising account, they're not necessarily that good. I think they're around 1 in 15. So that is one factor that I consider. However, I also consider the ACOS here is clearly leaving me room before I meet that kind of break even at maybe 25%, whatever it is. And the cost per click is already quite low. So in this case, going into Q4, what I'm looking at doing is to just increase the daily budget up to $5, as you can see that I've done here, where it was at $3 before, I think. And then we can increase the cost per click to around 15-cent cost per click, which means that we're going to go and get more clicks each day, which means we're going to hit that daily budget quicker. So keep this in mind when you're running your advertising campaigns like this and you're trying to kind of scale things. You are wagering, and it's not factual, but you are wagering that you are going to make more organic sales off the back of spending more on advertising and getting more from the advertising sales. Okay, so it still has to make sense. You can't just up your advertising spend and hope to make a ton of sales organically, because it's definitely not a given. So in this case, from this example, what you can see is that it is safe enough to just increase the cost per click slightly, increase the daily budget, and we're still going to hopefully lie within our break-even ACOS range. Okay, so obviously when you're doing this, you want to monitor things very closely going into Q4 to make sure that your ACOS doesn't go crazy and then you're actually losing money on the campaigns. So another scenario here, and we're going to get into the most common scenario in just a second using my own books as examples, but some of us will run into this God combination here where we have great conversions, where we have a low cost per click, where we are getting organic sales, where we have lots of solid rankings, and we have a good ACOS. So these books come around maybe 1 in 20 of the books that you publish, provided that the quality is good. Now, in this scenario here, we can test a load more campaigns, and it is my general feel that if you have a good book that's proven in the marketplace, high quality, good niche, good cover, good interior, etc., is that you can run almost any type of ad campaign and it will do well. So in this scenario here for this book, what I've decided to do, I actually set up a ton of product targeting campaigns against some of Coco Wire books, for example, and they're converting really well. I set up some category targeting campaigns and they're doing okay. I set up some very specific keyword campaigns which are doing okay, and I even created another automatic campaign because, like I said, we have this God combination where everything is working for us and we can go ahead and confidently, educated advertising spend is what this is about. We can confidently create more campaigns and expect similar results. Okay, so I can completely appreciate that this might sound a little bit confusing for some people and you're not quite sure what position you are in at the moment, what to do with your advertising campaigns, if the quality of your book is even good enough, if your keywords are good enough, etc., which is why I set up the Raydog membership that you can see here. And as part of the Raydog membership here, you get access to all the course content, weekly live coaching with me and other people. We have the private seller room where you can get feedback from me on what you're doing so that you can understand what position you are in, what you're doing with your advertising campaigns, if they look good, if they look bad, whatever feedback that you need, you can get this from us inside of the membership. So as you can see, we have a ton. I'm not going to go into this because people's books are in here, but we have a ton in the membership where you can get feedback on the titles for your book, the covers for your book, your advertising spend. You can talk with other people inside of the pro and master chats. There's so much going on here. And of course, you have the live chats where you can ask me questions about your specific scenarios as well. But inside the membership, we already have a ton of people that are saving a ton of money with these advertising strategies because we are doing things that are specific for low and medium content books. If you want to check this out, it's chrisraydog.com. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. There's an option to join for free if you just want a little taster to see what's going on and to join the Discord. Love to see you there. Everyone is welcome, obviously, but that's in the description below at chrisraydog.com. And if you head over to the website, you can see a lot more as to what is being specifically offered, including niche reports every single month, niches that haven't been ruined by YouTube that are handpicked by myself every single month as well. There's a ton of them ready for you to check out. Anyway, back to the video. So in these two scenarios here, what we can see is that the stats are telling us, the metrics are telling us that we can continue safely with more advertising spend in Q4. Now, you're going to run into this scenario, and a lot of people watching this will be in this exact scenario here, where you just have an okay book, where the stats are just kind of okay. So the book is selling organically okay, maybe around 20% organic sales, not great. The ads are converting okay, maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 15. But what's happening here is that the costs for a low price book are just way too high to keep running advertising spend to, because like I said, you are wagering that you're going to get enough organic sales to make up for your advertising spend. But if you have low margins, yeah, at what point are you actually going to make this money back, even if you do get organic sales? Okay, so there is an educated choice here. There's an educated stance that we have to take on these type of books, and that is to turn off the advertising campaigns and let Q4 ride this one out. Okay, so in this case, I think the ad spend will be too heavy and not result in a profit. Okay, so for this book here that I've been doing kind of case studies on, which is a swear word book, it's doing okay, it's looking pretty good, it's going to make some money, but the advertising metrics, they just don't add up for me. I'm starting to spend a little bit too much money, and going into Q4 I'm going to spend even more. So I've turned the advertising campaigns off, because you can definitely make organic sales without any ads being spent. So specifically what was happening here was that this book has got some good rankings for some strong keywords. We were running a manual campaign where the cost per click was really high. The conversions were sort of leveling out at like 1 in 12 for this manual campaign. I did everything I could to kind of optimize this campaign, but I was still losing money every single month. Now there has to be this cutoff point where you just stop losing money and you try your hand at just making the money back and profit going forward. Even if it takes you a year, 6 months to a year to make the money back, at least you're making it back. But you have to take this stance, this educated decision here based off of these metrics as to whether you should do that for these books or whether you should push more advertising spend, especially during Q4. So what if I want to publish books during Q4? Again, people will say not to do this, and once again, I completely disagree. I think that Q4 is a fantastic time to publish your books, because the sheer volume of traffic can help you get your books ranked and selling in record time. Last year, I was publishing, I can't remember what book it was, but it took off pretty much straight away, just because the amount of traffic on Amazon and the spend for my advertising on that book was much lower than it needed to be. Again, remember, if you're doing low content, medium content books, low price books, these are impulse buys. They are gift books, okay? You don't have to rely on having a prolonged advertising spend. You should be relying off of organic sales from Amazon, because there's plenty to be had, I can promise you. So again, this is another fantastic time to publish, because you can start building your email list. I'm not going to get into that into this video. I will start looking at email lists going forward, especially in the membership. So when I've released books in Q4, like I said just a minute ago, I've been super cautious with the advertising spend, because it's one of those things where if you're not careful and you just have like a load of random campaigns set up in your account, you will start getting tons of clicks, and those campaigns will start activating and you will start spending lots. So you have to be super careful with what you are spending over Q4. So before I call it a day with this video, I just want to touch upon something that I think a lot of people are going to be tempted to do during Q4, and that is to create bold and easy coloring books. So I sell a few bold and easy coloring books, and they do well. They do have the potential to do very well, but what I want people to keep in mind is that this niche now, people are uploading to this every single day. There's a lot of competition, and the thing is, with what I preach on this channel is that you need to be different or better or first. Is that we're getting to the point with this niche in particular where there are a lot of great books, and people are taking all kinds of angles with these books now. So like Mexican foods, and we have people that are doing British foods and Halloween stuff. Like, the niche is getting a little bit cramped. Now, it's not me saying you can't make money with it. People in the membership are making a ton of money with the bold and easy books, but I just want people to be careful making these, because I think they are getting harder. Now, what I've been recently doing in the weekly live calls is actually showcasing my main pen name. So all my actual bold and easy coloring books, all my where all my income comes from, basically I showcase this inside the membership. Now what I'm looking at doing going forward is creating completely unique concepts so that we don't compete with these type of people that are just uploading what everyone else is doing. Okay, and I think going forward it's going to be super important that we start making books that are harder for other people to make. So harder to make means harder to copy, which means less competition. Now pair that with a completely unique angle, you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the market who are just banging out these bold and easy coloring books. Okay, so coming up inside that membership, I'm going to do a full-blown case study for the next book in my main pen name for how I'm doing this. And yes, it takes a little bit more time, it takes a little bit more thought, but again, we're wagering here that if we're going to be the first into a new kind of niche or a really specific angle to a niche, that we're going to be the ones that make the sales. Okay, so regarding the membership, during the live calls I take a look at my best selling books, I do breakdowns of my best selling books, and I talk about the projects that I'm creating going forward so that people can see what I'm actually doing and what is effectively working for people in 2024 and will continue to work as well. This will be the most transparent place you can be with independent publishing. I can 1,000,000% promise you that. Again, if you want to check it out, feel free, chrisraydog.com, link in the description, etc, etc. Tons in there. I look forward to seeing you in there if you want to join. But we are looking to change the publishing game for a lot of people, and we've started to do that. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I'll catch you very, very soon.